Hey everybody, today we're playing Splitgate and we'll get into that in a little bit. I just want to very quickly tell you that their replay mode could use a little bit of work, so a couple of things about it first. It starts very abruptly, it ends very abruptly, like the split second that the last person gets killed, it just ends before the score even ticks up to 50. And finally, in the second game I'm on red team, and while you're playing the game, obviously, you know, enemies look red to you, but in the replay, enemies look blue because they're on blue team, so it's a little bit disorienting. But yeah, if you're watching the gameplay footage as we go along, those are just some things to keep in mind. So yes, hello and welcome to another episode of A Weekly Waypoint. Today we are playing Splitgate, as I've already mentioned, and this is actually a game which has been on the Weekly Waypoint before, a couple of years ago, all the way back in June of 2019 when it was still called the Weekly Deathmatch, this series. It was episode 58 and it was a short episode. It was an episode where I had a cold. It was an episode where I was talking about how good Super Mario Maker 2 looked like it was going to be and how I wanted PlayStation VR, and also I noticed it was a very low quality episode. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe that's just how stuff used to look when I recorded it on my PC and I'd just gotten used to it. Or maybe Splitgate just didn't record very well. But it just looked like ass, so I'm very excited to bring you this much higher quality version of a couple of matches of Splitgate. As for these matches, this one that you're currently watching is the second match I ever played on Xbox, and the one you're going to be watching afterwards is just a match where I did pretty well. And yeah, I've already mentioned that they have some issues with replays, how abruptly they start and end. It even cut off the first couple of seconds of the second match as well, you'll notice. But that is not indicative of the quality of the overall game. It feels very polished, the actual gameplay itself. That shot just there you saw, I think basically the replays save from the server side, and it must have some sort of system where if it looks like you killed them on your side, then you killed them, because it did not look like I killed them on the server side there, if that's what that was about. But there's not too much of that happens. But yeah, as for the game, it's my neighbours are still getting their bathroom fit, I apologise. As for the game itself, whatever about it on PC didn't click with me. Whatever they've done to it in the 2 years since then, which apparently isn't a whole lot, apart from maybe add a whole bunch of maps, although I never really played that much of it on PC, so maybe not even that. It's just so good on Xbox. It's completely free to play, or I say completely free to play, I don't want to give a wrong impression. There are purchasable cosmetics, but it's all just cosmetic, and they actually look pretty good. It's your standard kind of, like, you know, there's a battle pass system and there's an item shop. It's kind of got the Fortnite monetization system, and nobody seems to be upset about Fortnite's monetization system. So, but yeah, what you're watching here is basically Halo fused with Portal. It's like got the gameplay of Halo, or at least some of the more modern Halo games, but in a good way, and obviously the Portal gun stuff. And you might be watching this and going, oh, that looks a little bit complicated, I don't know if I'll be able to get my head around that in a quick thinking kind of environment. Trust me, you do. It is surprising how easy it is to work well with portals. And the really fun thing about this as well, I noticed, is I'm not as good at the game as I was when I first started playing, but when you start playing, basically I'm pretty sure the way that they handle matchmaking is, as you play, it figures out, you know, it's got like an invisible ranking system for casual play, and it figures out your skill level and eventually matches you with better people. But for whatever reason, the way they do it in this game is different to other games, because my first few matches I just dominated. I absolutely stomped people, and it was so much fun. And I got the achievement for getting a 15 killing spree, and I got the achievement for getting a quadra kill, or whatever they call it in this game. And those are two of what I would imagine to be the hardest achievements out of the entire achievement lists, because most of the achievement list is just play a certain amount of games, get a certain amount of these medals, that kind of thing. And I'm very grateful I got those skill-based ones done before it started matchmaking me with people who were more kind of on a, like, probably still overall pretty basic skill level. The aim assist on console is pretty strong, but overall, you know, I think it would be harder for me to get those achievements if I had waited longer, and it sussed out my kind of play style a little bit quicker. But my absolute favourite thing to do in this game, which I still haven't seen many people doing, is plonking a couple of portals down, not for travel but for a vantage point, and getting a sniper rifle. And like, because enemies can't see through your portals, they can travel through them and they can close them, but they can't see through them. So for instance, that wall up there, I could throw a portal up there, hide in a room and have a portal peeking out, and they could shoot me through it. They could guess I'm there, but they also couldn't. And there's fun game modes like One in the Chamber or SWAT or stuff like that, where it's not so easy to kill people on their side of a portal, and you just sit there and snipe people from like a tiny room in a corner of a map, and it's great. And that sounds frustrating from the opposite side of things, but honestly, I can't say that's been done to me very often. I can't say that when it has been done to me I've got too frustrated about it, because this is a very fast-paced shooter game. It's not like a battle royale or anything like that. So yeah, I have nothing but glowing praise for Splitgate, and I think I'm going to leave my discussion about the game there, because there's not too much else to say. You can see what's going on the screen, you know what kind of game this is. It's just a brilliant little innovation on the kind of Halo formula of like, oh, it's like an arena shooter, but you know, it's also Portal. Duh, it's amazing, of course it's amazing. So last week I talked about Bleach a lot, and I talked about Dragon Quest a lot, and I'm happy to report that I am still playing a whole bunch of Dragon Quest, and I am still reading a whole bunch of Bleach. I've just finished the Soul Society arc, and that Viz manga subscription I was telling you about last week, really fucking, it's the bomb, dude. I'm so happy with it. As for Dragon Quest, I've been playing a lot of it, but I've also been watching YouTube videos about previous games in the series, not spoilers or anything like that, but kind of just to get an impression of the individuals of each previous game in the series, because as opposed to Final Fantasy, they are all very similar, at least visually, and it's cool to learn more about previous games which I've never played, because I said this on Twitter earlier this week, I really do feel like I absolutely love Dragon Quest, but I've not played most of the Dragon Quest games. It's almost like the love I have for Skyrim now. Like, imagine if I had that, but I hadn't played most of Skyrim. It feels like that. It feels like I've got so much enjoyment ahead of me, and I'm really excited. But yeah, as for Dragon Quest, without spoiling anything story-related, I'm at the point where I've got to, oh my god, what's the place called? Honolulu, there we go. That's all I'm going to say, but anyone who's played the game knows where I am now. I had a weird thing that happened to me with Honolulu as well. I looked at it and I was like, this reminds me of Dragon Quest X. How can this remind me of a game which I've never played and don't even have access to in the West? And it's because I've seen a little bit of gameplay of the starter area of Dragon Quest X, and it legitimately does look like that area. I went and looked it up again. I was like, oh, that's why. Dragon Quest X made such a strong impression on me as a game that I can never play until they localize it, if they ever do, that I recognized the starter area after only having seen it once briefly. I don't know why I want to play Dragon Quest X so bad. I've got Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to play, not to mention 11 to finish. I'm not going to play any other Dragon Quest game until I finish 11, but I have looked into how to acquire previous Dragon Quest games, and 1 to 3 obviously are on Switch, and 3 is getting a HD 2D remake eventually. And then I've got 9 on DS, 7 and 8 are on the 3DS eShop, and I might just get them physically anyway. But as for 4, 5 and 6, which are the hardest to get your hands on at this point in time, there are Android ports, and honestly, if it comes down to it, I might just end up buying them. I really don't want to play the game in portrait mode on a touchscreen, but I mean, the portrait mode is there because it's based on the DS version, so that's understandable, I guess. But it doesn't have any controller support or anything like that, so you have to play it with touch controls, and it's like, ugh, why? Also, I've heard some rumours of save files deleting themselves, but I've looked into that, and I think that's just because people got their cloud save desynced with their mobile save. I'm hoping that's all that is. But yeah, I'm ready to go hard on the Dragon Quest series, but again, as we all know, my attention span will eventually draw me elsewhere, like Elder Scrolls Online. Imagine if it did that. Oh wait, it did do that today. It absolutely did that. So I listened to a podcast called The Instance, which is all about MMOs. It used to be a WoW podcast, but a couple of months ago they transitioned to being just about MMOs in general, which I couldn't be happier with, because as you probably know, I love MMOs. I love all MMOs of all shapes and sizes, and they did an episode on Elder Scrolls Online, which Scott Johnson, the host of the show, tends to love as much as me, and it's such a good episode. I recommend it if you're curious about Elder Scrolls Online. It's such a good episode that I wasn't thinking about Elder Scrolls Online before that episode, and then after that episode I was like, fuck, I need to play Elder Scrolls Online again. I don't know if this is going to stick. I did resubscribe to Final Fantasy XIV, I think it was last week or the week before that, because I was like, it's time to get back into Final Fantasy XIV. I am excited to play it again. I just need to get through Stormblood and it'll be interesting again. But I've played a couple of hours and I'm not feeling it at the minute, so I might be forsaking that for Elder Scrolls Online at the minute. That being said, again, I'm still knee-deep in Dragon Quest XI and I have no plans of stopping. But in ESO at the minute, I'm basically just chilling out, doing all the side quests I can in Blackwood, that's the name of the area. I was trying to remember, because I got to a point in the main story quest where it's only about halfway through, but what's her face, the wood elf lady whose name I've temporarily forgotten, said to me, you know, see if you can get some help from people that you've helped in this area. And because I've done no side quests at that point, I was like, I haven't helped anyone. And she's like, well, okay, we can carry on by ourselves, or maybe you want to go do that. And I was like, well, that's just the game telling me that I'm going to get a bad ending if I don't help people. So I was like, sure, normally I'd leave a side quest for the end, but I mean, I probably shouldn't, because it is kind of a staple of Elder Scrolls Online DLCs that the more side quests you finish before the main quest, the more people are going to be involved in the end of the main quest. So I think I should reconsider how I approach that. But yeah, I'm back on Brakosh, my Dragon Knight, my Stamina Dragon Knight orc dude, who wields a big two-handed axe, and I'm having a lot of fun. I discovered the statistics page for Xbox games on mobile, but I'm sure it's hidden somewhere in the console as well. I'm sure it is. It'd be weird if it wasn't. And turns out I've put a week of game time into Elder Scrolls Online on Xbox already, which is surprising to me, because which is about 150 hours, and I have about 400 hours on ESO on PC, because I did move from PC to Xbox, which is, some people would say that's weird because PC is the best place to play, but Xbox can run it better than my PC, so we don't need to go into that. Also achievements, lol. But yeah, I have 150 hours on Xbox already, which is surprising to me. But then I thought about it. I was like, well, I mean, I did redo all of Greymore, and I did do all of the part 2 DLC for that Greymore thing as well, whatever they called it, the year of the vampires and werewolves and witches, oh my year. And I did all of the main storyline too, and I 100%ed Cold Harbor before the end of the main story as well. So and I did like half of Orsinium. So yeah, I've done a lot basically, because I was like, I'm gonna get all the achievements in this game that's ridiculously hard to get all the achievements in. That was a thing I was doing for a while, and will continue to do. This is like a long time obsession of mine. I know it's not gonna be easily doable, but I want to get as close to 100% in that game as I can, because at the end of the day, it's more likely that ESO is going to shut down before Xbox Online services shut down decades in the future. So it would be cool to just have like, oh, you can't access this anymore, but I got all the achievements in it, or something dumb like that. I don't know. I think nowadays about people who have multiplayer achievements for like Halo 1 and 2 and stuff. Well, actually Halo 1 wouldn't have had achievements. I don't know if Halo 2 had achievements, bad examples, but all of the multiplayer achievements for Halo 3, and it's like, I think they either did shut the servers down for that, or they're going to shut the servers down for that. And I get that you can have the same achievements in Master Chief Collection, but you know what I mean. It's like, oh look, it's something you can't get anymore, which I value way too much, because that kind of thing is what contributes to FOMO, and then marketing taking advantage of people's FOMO, and us spending money on things that we don't really need. But let's not get into that. And yes, I have actually been playing a fair amount of Forza Motorsport 7, so it wasn't an ill-advised purchase. Ha! In your face! I don't know who I'm talking to anymore. I will quickly say, when I was watching the video, the Splitgate episode of this that I did a couple of years ago, I was like, oh yeah, PSVR's on sale, so I might get it. And then I casually talk about like, oh yeah, and I think I said it cost £200. I don't remember it costing £200. Hopefully it didn't. But I'm like, damn, I am no longer in a position where I could just drop £200 on something. Jesus. But then I did used to work 2 jobs, and it would run me ragged. So there's that, I guess. And also, in better news, my hours are changing, and they're going to be better for me, so that's exciting. So that's some good news, isn't it? Woohoo! Same hours, but better efficiency of them. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Goodbye. Mwah!